At the Okoli Law Group, we specialize in producing justice. If you or a loved one in the Atlanta metro area is facing serious criminal charges, then you need serious legal representation.
The Okoli Law Group is here for you. The Okoli Law Group is here for us.
The Okoli Law Group, serious legal representation.
Peace, family. We are live again. Dynasty Mirror Search for Huru. Thank you all. Thank you so much for joining. Do me a favor, hit that like button, and please hit that like button. Also, make sure you share and make sure you subscribe. Have a couple of announcements. Announcement number one: we are rolling. Look, I'm trying to set. I gotta set something up here real quick. Give me a second. Here we go. Live. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Sierra Leone citizenship is back on. In Sierra Leone, you know, it was on pause for last year. It was on pause, but we are back on for citizenship in Sierra Leone. So if you're interested in joining us, please visit Danfo. That's Danfo, DANFO.Africa to learn more. Again, please visit Danfo. That's DANFO.Africa to learn more. Hosting a group in April and another group in December. The only major changes are that you have to come twice now. So again, you have to come twice. And then also they're accepting more DNA test providers. So at first it was just strictly African ancestry. Now it is Ancestry.com, 23andMe, and CRI, I think is the name of the company, CRI. So if you're interested in joining us, please visit Danfo.Africa. Again, if you're interested in joining us, please visit Danfo.Africa to learn more. Happy to see all of you guys. Love all of you guys. Disclaimer, you know, all guys, give me 1 second. Let me respond to this real quick. Okay, here we go. Okay. Yeah. All shout out to Jonathan in the chat room. All opinions are welcomed. Okay, let's be respectful. I know things get a little heated on here. And again, I mean, listen, if you disagree, you're more than welcome to call in. If you agree, you're more than welcome to call in. Again, we accept differing opinions here on the show. But let's jump into today's topic. And we're gonna play this piece that was on I found it today. It just popped up on my feed. Hey, what's up, Sam? How you doing? Welcome to the family. It popped up on my feed today on while I was on YouTube. And I'm like, wow, like this is the first like balanced piece on Liberia that wasn't all the Black Americans came and they enslaved the natives, you know, and all this other crazy shit that, you know, these hit pieces that people put out about Liberia. You know, they colonized, they came with the colonizers mindset and colonized the locals. You know that same BS crap. So I want to play this real quick and then we'll jump into it. Oh, wrong window. Hold on. Sorry about that. Wrong window. Here we go.
As we close out Black History Month, we turn now to a remarkable but often overlooked chapter of.
And this is what's amazing. This is the first time where the story of Liberia has been recognized by like mainstream media as part of Black History Month, or anyone here in America as part of Black History Month. And the story of Liberia, the founding of Liberia, is very much a part of Black American history. In fact, as I've said before, and I'll say it again, the founding of that, am I saying that correct? Of Liberia is the greatest accomplishment of Black America. Again, the founding of Liberia is the greatest accomplishment of Black America. Freed slaves, fresh off the plantation, decided to take their destiny in their own hands and build a nation. Again, they decided to take their destiny in their own hands and build a nation that is still there. Yeah, you have the adversity and the civil wars and the coups, but guess what? It is still there. The country of Liberia is still there. It's not perfect. It got issues, but it's still there. They wasn't asking for no DEI. They wasn't yelling hands up, don't shoot. They wasn't begging to integrate and sit at lunch counters and eat nasty chicken salad sandwiches that the people who served them the chicken salad sandwiches probably spit in and didn't want them to even step foot in those restaurants. They decided to leave and build a nation on their own, of their own. Isn't that amazing? And I always wonder why. Why isn't this celebrated in Black history? And then I also always wonder, why doesn't so-called FBA and ADOS, why don't they claim Liberia? Why doesn't FBA claim Liberia? Because it goes against their slave narrative. That's why. Because it goes against their struggle narrative. Because it goes against our bones is buried. Our bones is buried. We were sharecrop. Our bones is buried. It goes against that narrative. They built a country of their own, and it goes against the struggle narrative. That's why. Let's play this video.
U.S. history, one that connects the United States to the West African nation of Liberia, founded more than 2 centuries ago by freed African Americans. ABC's Inez de Lucatera takes us on a journey through history to see how their legacy and their search for freedom continues to shape a country known as the Land of Liberty.
You'd be forgiven for thinking this is somewhere in America. From the street signs to the yellow school buses and monuments like this Masonic temple, even a flag that looks very familiar. But we're a long way from the U.S. This is Liberia, a small nation on the western coast of Africa, and its story is intrinsically tied to America's. It's a little-known chapter in U.S. history. In the 1800s, a group of white Americans created what was known as the American Colonization Society. Its aim was to repatriate formerly enslaved Americans to Africa, even though many had been in the U.S. for generations. Liberian historian Dr. C. Patrick Burrows.
They aimed to form a colony in Africa and to have free Blacks who chose to leave and go to Liberia. They were joined by people who were politicians and who thought that the repatriation of Blacks to Africa was important to preserve stability in the U.S. that as long as free blacks were here, they would influence those who were enslaved, and those who were enslaved might rebel.
The ACS set about buying land in Africa and chose to call it Liberia. In other words, the land of the free. Its capital, Monrovia, was named after U.S. President James Monroe. Among those who would make the journey was William D. Coleman, a young boy who'd grown up on the Wardlaw plantation in Fayette County, Kentucky. James Wardlaw's will shows that upon his death, he wanted all enslaved people on his plantation to be liberated on the condition they emigrate to Liberia. Wardlaw adding, "But such of my slaves as decline going to Liberia shall be sold as slaves." Dr. Burroughs says records show that in 1853, William, his mother Ellen, and an uncle boarded a ship in Baltimore and set sail for Liberia.
Life was rough because you're coming into a place that's new, certainly not as rough as it would have been on a plantation. And now you're working for yourself.
Eventually, the Colemans landed here in what was dubbed Kentucky in Africa, where relics of the past still stand to this day, and where we met up with some of Coleman's direct descendants.
From the time they came in, they started patterning things after the United States. The flag, the everything.
It's estimated about 15,000 freed Black Americans resettled in Liberia. They set about building a country based on what they knew, overcoming some challenges from the local population. In the Liberian jungle, one can still find buildings that look almost identical to those in the American South.
These are the buildings that people who came from the U.S. had built. The structures on, say, Jefferson's plantation or Madison's plantation were not built by Jefferson himself. He might have designed them, but the actual enslaved people were the ones who built them. So they had those skills.
At this Baptist church in 1847, Liberians even signed their own Declaration of Independence.
It was a land of freedom, and it still is, regardless of what the issues are. Liberia is still a land of freedom. Anyone can come and settle in Liberia, true land of liberty.
And William D. Coleman, born enslaved on an American plantation, would eventually grow up to become the nation's 13th president. But the Coleman search for freedom wouldn't end there. Decades later, during the brutal Liberian Civil War, a portion of the family chose to flee the violence by heading back to America. Outside of Washington, D.C., we meet 93-year-old Genevieve Coleman Garnett and her son, James.
When you get married, right?
19 years old.
19 years old. Okay, and this was in 1951. I don't think anybody ever planned to come back, you know. But when the coup took place, you know, thank God we had a place of refuge that we could come back to, you know, and settle again and try to start all over, you know. But yeah, I mean, America and Liberia have always had a very close relationship. It's a full cycle, right?
Every year now, the Colemans hold a big family reunion. What began in 1998 as a small core gathering of Colemans has now blossomed into a massive event with as many as 300 American and Liberian Colemans attending.
We hope that they don't get mixed up and don't know who they are. We wanted them to know that who they were and where they came from.
A chance to reflect on their shared legacy and give back. The descendants of William D. Coleman also created a foundation aimed at rebuilding the nation that gave them liberty.
You know, life is better here, you know, than it is over there. We got to continue to work though, and remember, you know, who we are, why we came, where we came from, and do what we can to help the situation over there.
An important part of history. Inez de la Gutera, thank you.
Hey guys, Grant Cardone here. For the last 10 years, I've been running.
There it is. There it is, Liberia. And this argument is always brought up, you know, ACS, American Colonialization Society. America has never, ever considered Liberia as a colony, period. Again, the United States of America has never considered Liberia as a colony. These were slaves returned. These were Africans returning home. All right. Again, these were Africans who were taking from Africa against their own free will and were returning home. And then the ACS was nothing more than a rinky-dink nonprofit organization who many times couldn't even afford. I mean, who and this nonprofit organization ran out of funds to continue in assisting these free slaves in returning to Africa. They ran out of funds, so Liberia became a dumping ground in America. I mean, in Liberia. Liberia became a dumping ground of free black slaves, pretty much. And they got there and they had to figure it out, and which they did. But that's why you have the country of Liberia today. But hey, if you want to beg for DEI, go ahead. But we've came such a long way from building Liberia to now begging for DEI and boycotting for one day. Freetown's a little bit different. So when at the end of the American Revolution, the black loyalists who fought on the side of the British, they were promised freedom. And so at the end of the American Revolution, they went to Nova Scotia because the British lost. But it was so cold there and it was ice. They're like, nah, it's just, we can't live here. So then they sent them to Sierra Leone. And then when the British outlawed slavery or banned slavery, they would intercept slave ships off the coast of Africa and they would bring those Africans to Sierra Leone. So it's a little bit different. Expat, you weren't considered American back then. I don't think. Yeah, I don't think at the end of, like when did free slaves be considered Americans? Like I don't think we were considered Americans back then. Hold on, let me see something. Let me look this up. That's a good question. When were black people considered citizens? The 14th Amendment in 1868. Okay, so that's 1868. When was Liberia founded? 1822. Liberia was founded in 1822. Black people weren't considered citizens or American until 1868. So yeah, that goes against your argument. They weren't technically they weren't American. So there you go. But it still should be considered. They still should be considered part of Black American history. So yeah, but guys, links in the chat room. Link is in the chat room. If you want to call in, please call in. If you want to call in, please call in. Again, link is in the chat room. If you want to call in, please call in. Let me play this video by Dave Anderson on DEI real quick. And he broke it down so wonderfully. Fair use, Dave. You've been on the show before. Here we go. And he breaks this down in regards to what DEI really is. Basically, we keep advocating for crumbs.
Is 5 stars good? We want to let somebody else solve our problems. When you are not in control of the problem, you cannot dictate how the solution is doled out. Want to grow your business without spending a dime on ads? Head to www.thebusinessbully.com/without paid ads. Stop guessing, start dominating. Y'all are trying me, okay? We get these questions. If you haven't sent in your question, you can do it. Dave@businessbullyshow.com, and I'm going to answer it. Stacy from Wisconsin says, Dave, I need your take on DEI. Do you really want this? Are you sure? Okay. DEI stands for didn't earn it. Let's keep it a buck, right? I have said on this platform and just about any platform I've been on, I have a distinct issue with Black people always caping for white women. Dave, what do you mean caping for white women? Well, let's just review. Statistically speaking, out of all of the DEI hires, only 4% have gone to Black people. 52% have gone to white women. The same way white women were the number one beneficiaries of affirmative action, the same way white women are the number one beneficiaries of the welfare state, yet and still, here you come. When it comes to feminism, white women were also the number one beneficiaries, but Black people keep getting their heads chopped in. I'm trying to understand when you will wake up. All they got to do is hit you with a phrase and you're running with it. Because before this, what was it? Critical race theory. Oh, Lord, they're taking the books out of the schools. Books about, I can't use that word on this platform, books about corn, okay, that have no business in schools. And I don't know if you understand this. If you need the government, meaning the U.S. Department of Education, the state school board, whoever, to teach your child about being Black, you've already lost the race. Let that sink in. But let's get back to DEI for a minute. We keep advocating for crumbs. But here's where I'm really trying to understand. You decided that it was a good idea to roast Tabitha Brown because she said, if you're going to boycott Target, that's fine. Just buy Black within Target, because there are literally hundreds of Black-owned businesses that are in Target that have been featured, that have been propped up, that have deals going with Target. And you said, oh no, because you're half in and you're half out. Well, I would venture to guess that being half in is a lot better than the under 3% you are as far as ownership and employing other Black people. Do you see Jewish people walking around here saying, buy Jewish? Do you see Asian people of any group of Asians, meaning Vietnamese, Chinese, Indian? Do you see any of them talk about buy Asian? No, they don't have to, because it's a way of life. Black people, we don't. But you're fighting for diversity, equity, and inclusion, just like you were fighting for critical race theory, just like you were fighting for Black Lives Matter. And then we found out from their own masthead that the Black Lives Matter organization wanted to dismantle the patriarchy and put up non-binary hoobity-doos that identify as Puff the Magic Dragon. No diddy. I'm trying to understand why you keep hopping from cause to cause. Oh, that's because your mind is colonized. That's because you believe whatever Roland Martin tells you. You believe whatever D.L. Hughley tells you. You believe whatever Joy Reid tells you. Joy Reid, up until about 3 months ago, who was cosplaying as Donald Trump with that god-awful wig on her head and still hasn't done anything impactful for Black people. Then you're following Al Sharpton into a Costco because Costco has DEI. You do realize Al Sharpton's a multimillionaire, don't you? You do realize he has a multi-million-dollar contract with MSNBC. You know that, right? Why do you continue to follow multimillionaires like Al Sharpton, D.L. Hughley, who, by the way, is the 5th funniest person in the Kings of Comedy? And I know you're saying, but there were 4 Kings of Comedy. Yeah, there were. Cedric the Entertainer, Steve Harvey, Bernie Mac, God rest his soul, and Guy Torrey, who dropped out, and then he picked D.L. Hughley off the bench. And I'm so sorry. This guy is not.
Grammarly now uses AI to help you write, not just revise. Type a prompt and
not a scholar. You know what Malcolm X said about listening to comedians and trumpet players, don't you? He said it's not a good look, but yet and still you do it. Whatever he says, y'all just jump on, and you keep acting like these people aren't evil. You'll sit up here and say, oh, Auntie Maxine Waters is doing this, that, and the third. What is she doing? Ask anybody in LA. Go ask Kendrick Lamar, who just killed the Super Bowl, how he feels about the job Maxine Waters is doing for Compton. But yet and still, you'll let Roland Martin, who is in bed with the Congressional Black Caucus, convince you that DEI is somehow going to help you. It has not. Being in bed with Democrats as if Democrats are all the good guys and Republicans are all the bad guys is why we don't win. You need people on both sides of the aisle in order to get what we need to get. And you know what we need to get? All of these politicians, regardless of where they fall on the political spectrum, out of our way so that we can build our businesses. But then see, there goes that thing about accountability. We don't want that. We want to let somebody else solve our problems. When you are not in control of the problem. You cannot dictate how the solution is doled out. We have problems here. DEI is not helping anybody. You know what will help somebody? Group economics, actual group economics, not a bumper sticker, not a hashtag, not a hoodie, not a homeboy with a thesaurus telling you how to move from day to day because they got a couple of raps that you tend to think are dope. Not a Hotep scholar sitting with a dashiki telling you how great the world is because we're doing it this way. Not somebody sitting around taking a bit and piece of one particular piece of doctrine and saying, oh, this is what we need to roll with, my brothers, as I light up some more incense and sell you some waist beads. We've got to get past the herbal tea symbolism and start getting down to brass tacks. You keep looking for a leader. The late Dr. Julia Hare said the problem with Black folks is we keep looking for Black leaders, but we keep following leading Blacks, and they're leading us off a cliff. When are you going to realize that we need to lead ourselves? Roland Martin can't help you. Don Lemon can't help you. And why in the world would you follow Don Lemon? Because number one, he's LGBTQ first. Then he's loyal to his white husband before he's loyal to us. When are you going to look within for your own solutions? When are we going to say enough is enough and actually do what's necessary? Don't expect income from people who benefit from you not making money, for you being dependent on them and their systems, for you to be dependent on them and their lives. That's why the system keeps going. And I'm so sorry if this hurts your feelings, but tell me where I'm wrong. Tell me how this is working out.
Exactly. Prove them wrong. Prove
And I
them
know you're
wrong.
going to say, well, that's just a white man's talking point. You know where I got that talking point from? Black Enterprise Magazine. Last I checked, the Graves own that. And the last I checked, all the Graves were Black. So again, can we stop talking feelings and start talking facts? Or are you going to tell me we need to fight for this until the next hashtag comes out, until the next selective outrage talking point comes up? Then maybe, just maybe, you'll get it, or we'll be back here again and you'll talk about how somebody's being so.
Go ahead, Kofi.
Peace, Donis.
Peace.
Yeah, man. Yeah, this platform pretty much put me on to the history of Liberia. You and Kala going back and forth and talking about the history. Shout out to Focus on Liberia with Cal Fambule and Dennis Jah. I pretty much know the full history of Liberia, and I know much more prominent indigenous figures now. And I could like debunk the whole one-sided argument of the Americo-Liberians enslaved the natives. And like for once, when are they going to consider the people who returned back, the Blacks who returned back to Africa, as indigenous, as natives? I'm sure we all, migrated from the Sahel regions after the fall of the Mali Empire, after the fall of this Songhai Empire. We all started to migrate to the coast. And even those first kingdoms, they were throwing each other into slavery. I believe that's where we come from. As Kareem Abdul-Jabbar likes to trace his heritage back to that like Sahel Caliphate Islamic territory. So and that kind of debates the whole argument of who sold who, because you had to have slaves, or you had to have a labor force to had come from any great empire or any great nation. And those who went into the Americas to farm and to take up iron ore work and to pretty much build the United States, we came from that shows we came from great empires. I think Liberia is past due to have like some type of television series or like a documentary that isn't just that's more broad, because even when you watch the Amistad movie, you could see like a clip of them dismantling fort. And the truth is, it was J.J. Roberts, and he had got a gunboat. I'm not sure if he got a gunboat from like from Queen Elizabeth or from the United States, because he also was a boat. He also comes from his stepfather was built boats. So he took his gunship and he went up and down the coast, dismantling the slave trade. And the biggest fort, I believe, was on the borders of Sierra Leone and Liberia. It's kind of escaping my vision right now, but he was able to plant a flag, and then the British later took it. That's how far he's gotten. And I feel like when you're in conversations with some of the FBA crew, when you bring up Liberia, you start to kind of like hear them like wanting to jump on the sides of the American Liberians. And, that's how you would kind of bring them into claiming Africa through that defense and what that Black American stock did in Liberia. You had a Black American stock of freedmen. You had recaptured Africans who come from the indigenous people, who also come from, let's say, Ivory Coast, Sierra Leone, and they come from Guinea. And then you had your Caribbean presidents like Barclay. There's like different stocks who had power within the true Whig Party. What Liberia was really fighting was the encroachment by the French and then by British, and we had stopped them until the United States came in around the same time. Firestone would be planted and be get. I guess they became the biggest plantation owners on the African continent to produce rubber. So I believe it's past due that Liberia deserves a series, and I think it's good to start from like the TRC, the testimonials, the reconciliation testimonial commissions of Liberia, and you're gonna hear a lot. You hear a lot of the elite, the Congo or the American elite using the indigenous people to kind of carry out a lot of orders and a lot of its rule in the Liberian society during that time. I'll hand the floor over to someone else.
Go ahead, Sid. Unmute yourself, Sid. Okay, I'll pass it to Jay. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, thanks for bringing me up again, man. Keeping your platform open. This whole thing, I mean, I'd have to get into. I've listened to Kala a lot, and I'm gonna look up that professor, that the little clip you played from the news. I'm gonna look that professor up and watch some of his videos. And if you could bring him on, that'd be cool. But
I've had him on before, but I'll bring him on. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, cool. Because when they went to Liberia, right, there were already people in that area, right?
Okay. Yeah, Jay, you're breaking up. You're breaking up.
Sorry, can you hear me? I'm still breaking up.
No, you're good now. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, and when you have a situation like that where there are already people in an area, and then a new set of people arrive in that area, and then you don't have either total inclusion in the politics of the area, things like that, or economic inclusion or anything like that, it's going to create some contention. And I think that's what happened there. Now, maybe if they had, during the coup, if they were able to defend themselves adequately, maybe they could have resisted the downfall of that government. But just listening to the little clip from the news, you can see that essentially they modeled what they were doing based on what they experienced in the United States. So the governmental systems and all that were a model for them, the building structures. And as you can tell, there was a lot of white people that were involved in that whole move with the American Colonization Society. As a matter of fact, I think Lincoln kind of supported, like, because people were worried that once Black people got free and stuff, then there'll be an issue with them staying in America and all this type of stuff. So anything you want to do in life, man, you're gonna have to fight, and you're gonna have to be willing to resist, you know, people that don't think you should do it. And so it kind of is what it is, but these type of situations are going to always create some, you know, or people perceive that there's not total fairness. So that's what I got to say to start.
You wanna add, Kofi?
Yeah, you know, people like to say that the Americo-Liberians modeled the way they ran their government after the plantation life and the slavery that they went through with the whites. And you know, who modeled the barracoons? What was that modeled? Where did that model come from? Marching slaves to the coast from the hinterlands. Where did that model come from? And where did the model of building slave forts throughout the coast come from? You know, so I would say that everything that the African Americans faced in the United States was already happening on the coast of Africa. All the raping, all the forced mixing, all the mulatto children, all that was happening on the African coast already. All the African sailors, explorers, they had to navigate. They had to show all these captains how to navigate the waters. I'm talking about throughout the transatlantic slave trade. So I believe the model was already there. Now, when the Black repats came back, they had to witness slaves going to where they just came from. They had to pretty much stop the slave trade. And that's what first caused the tensions between the so-called indigenous and the so-called Americo-Liberians. Now, I believe they had a heads up on what an African country would come to be, because the United States just 25 years before them gained its independence from the British Empire, and they started their own country. So they took that model and became the first country. Like, Black Americans, or you could say African Americans, started the first country on the African continent where slavery was outlawed and where no one could come in and encroach on your nation. It wasn't like how it was before, where all these empires on the African continent was warring with each other, and that pretty much gave away its sovereignty. You know, your sovereignty was up for grabs once the Europeans saw that other Black people were selling other Black people into slavery. And that was the go ahead for the for the settlement to say, you know what, these sovereign Africans are just going to throw us back into slavery as soon as they get the chance. Let's try to dismantle that as soon as possible. Let's try to get everyone speaking one language, which was the English language, versus everyone speaking a different language and seeing each other as the enemy. So these returnees, I don't like to say newcomers, because everyone on the African continent knew where they were coming from. You just sent them off. Only Russell and Roberts were the light-skinned ones. The rest of them were dark. The rest of the presidents were very dark. And 80% of the population were recaptured Africans. So they knew that these were Africans who were being set free. So there was no surprise with the Kings. The Kings were not illiterate people. They traveled, they studied in Liverpool. They were very cultured in the transatlantic slave trade, and just calling them natives, you kind of reduce their in intelligence. You first have to state the names of the rulers, and if you don't know, just simply say you don't know instead of trying to instigate another conflict of America versus Native. And I'll land there.
Go ahead, Sid.
Hey, Dennis.
What's going on?
Yeah, thank you for letting me in. I want to speak a little bit on Liberia. So I don't. If people say that the African American, or what they used to call them in Liberia, Congo, they used to call them Congo. So I don't think they were enslaving the native.
They weren't.
Well, yeah, from my experience and from my parents' experience, because I was born there and I was a little kid anyway. So at that time I was a baby when Turbo came into power. Before Turbo, there was third man that came in first, and then he died, and Turbo took over as vice president. So our first president in Liberia was Joseph Jenkins Roberts, and Stephen Ali Benson was the second president. So we had almost 19 past African American president. So Turbo probably was the first native president in Liberia so far. So what happened was, I mean, as an example, for Turbo was doing extremely well for the country. He was trying to develop the country, and he was giving the native a lot of benefit, a lot of chances. They even sent most of them outside to go to school, and most of them, when they came back, they created a lot of trouble for Turbo. There's someone that back of Matthew, Dr. Tupac Tipote, Dr. Formula. But most of these guys, some of them claim to be African Americans, because sometimes the native were raised by African Americans. So they will carry the African Americans' name. It's almost like in America where some black people, tend to be white. They prefer being white. So since the African American, the Congo was doing well, or even the native were identifying themselves with the African American, right? So from that perspective, someone like Baco Matthew, he was African American. He created more trouble for Turbo. So it was not the native that actually started the trouble against the African Americans. So if people say, well, they were enslaving the native, I don't think so. Because how will you call someone enslaving? For example, if I go to Kenya, I will have a houseboy, right? I will have someone that will clean my apartment. It will be a native. Does that necessarily mean that I'm enslaving them? No, right? Because of my financial status, I can have that benefit. So, and besides that, at that time, Liberia, almost every African wanted to go to Liberia because we had the American dollar. I was born, I saw USD when I was a baby, in the American currency we had in our country. So when Turbo came to power, he was developing, he was doing extremely well. And I think for some other reason, America did not like the idea. And he was taking the country to different level. So when they overthrew him, when they killed him, and first of all, people that brought trouble to Turbo, they were all African American. But Dr. Baco Matthew, he was African American. He started the rights riot against Turbo. So when they overthrew him, they gave the country to this native guy.
Sorry,
can I chime in here because the brother's been long-winded.
Sorry, Barker Matthew was adopted by Tolbert. Sorry.
What's that?
Barker Matthew was a native. He was adopted by the Tolberts.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm saying. That so most of these guys, it's almost like when financially when you're doing well in terms of politics and you have their financial power, everybody was identifying themselves with African American, the Congo. People will carry, someone will call themselves Stephen Talbot or Todman, but they leave the native name to carry those names to identify themselves with the African American. So that was going around, and these are the people that were abusing people. Not specifically the African Americans were doing it, but they would be abusing in the name of the African American, in the name of the Congo people, right? So when Toba was in power, things were going first. When I was a baby, I was born in San Nicolas, Nimba County. They already had the OEU conference. OEU conference was here in San Nicolas in 1959. At that time, I was now born here. But that history is there for Liberia. When Kwame Nkrumah or Felix Ofoe-Boigny, Sekou Touré, and Todman went to my hometown and had OEU conference. So that's how important Liberia was. There was all Nigerians, Ghanaian, Ivorian, Guineans, everybody were going to Liberia because of the US currency, and the country was doing extremely well. And one thing, when Talbot came into power, the first thing that he did, he took all the investment from the Lebanese, from the Westerners, and gave it to the native. That was the time my dad bought his gas station. He had a few gas stations in Nimba County, and he took all this property from the Lebanese and gave it back to the native. And he never allowed the Lebanese to be citizens of Liberia. So Liberia were operating on different levels. The country was doing extremely well. But when the coup d'etat came and they killed those 13 guys, Sisi Dennis was the finance minister at that time. And when they killed Talbot's son, his only son, ABR Talbot, he was killed for no reason. So these are the things that brought civil war. But someone like Charles Taylor took advantage of the situation and brought civil war into the country. So I won't specifically say the African Americans were enslaving the Liberians. I think Liberia could be a stepping stone for African American to conquer the entire Africa, because at that time Liberia was on the page. Everybody wanted to be Liberians. Everybody wanted to go to Liberia because of the US currency. So that's what I have to say for now.
All right, go ahead, Louis.
Yeah, to the brother there with the glasses. Sorry, my screen is so small here. I can't really read your name properly. I'm gonna try to get it out on the bigger screen. Mabume. Wapume. Okay.
Wapume. That means how are you in
I understand. Okay. Oh, intrigued. I know your accent is throwing me off. That's why I would recognize that. You still got to work on it, brother.
I have Mecca Fanti.
What you there? Brother, listen, when you narrate the story of slavery in Africa, we've got to move away from what this European has injected into our heads. Yes? The people in Africa didn't get up and get started selling each other. Who are we selling each other to until the white man got there? Who are the Africans selling? To who?
But Louis, we have to have no. We gotta have an honest. We can't sanitize slavery,
yes,
man.
that's why I'm bringing up, because of the honest of things. Because we are spinning it as if Africans get sitting there as savages, get selling each other. There won't be no African on the continent.
But how did we end up in America, Louis?
It was a particular system that was set up by the white man. He bought the trade. He's the one who bought the business.
But nobody forced Africans to sell other Africans to.
You see, you're making a poor excuse about why.
I'm just saying, man, we gotta stop.
It's a poor excuse. Listen, I'm gonna shut that excuse down, this right, because it's a lazy excuse and it's being carried on now. Yesterday, when we had that Volvo guy on, wherever the ADOS guy, I didn't catch it because I was gonna come in right. It was a funny show, but I didn't catch it. But we've spun this thing so much now that everybody's coming on here, oh, but it was your fault. You shouldn't have been doing this. If we were living like that, there wouldn't have been any black person left on the continent when the white people turned up. When the white people came up, they did not come there snatching people and selling. No, they traded for about 200 years on gold, spices. You know that. Later on, it became a slave trade.
I understand.
The white man engineered that.
Yeah,
Okay?
but it's
No, hang on. You span it. No, Dinah, no. Because what happened is that people are beginning to spin it now, and even decent Pan-Africans are now joining in with it.
It's okay. I moved on.
No. It was a trade, brother. It was a trade that became a commercial one by the white man. The white man engineered that. Okay, no Ashanti man knew where England was. We didn't know who no white man was until they bought the white man, Kwesi Brony, on a Sunday to show the king of Ashanti. Okay? We were trading with them 200 years down the line. They bought guns in, they bought this in, they've stirred up shit. Next thing you know, they're actually paying for people to be bought. Okay, now you make that narrative, oh, nobody make you put the smoke, the crack pipe, that. If that's the case, then why come when a drug dealer goes to court, he goes to jail when he's found guilty? Because what he's doing is causing the crack epidemic. What the white man done caused the slave trade. Okay, so let's get that straight. Every time we come on here, we want, oh, those blacks were enslaving each other. They were doing this, my friend, brother. Let's stop that.
It's okay. I moved on. It's the truth.
No. I understand the point you're making, Dennis. I understand the point you're making. We need to have a special show on that. So I will represent the Ashanti side. We'll have a special show on that. But no African go up one day, oh, I'm just going to go selfie. We didn't know where the white man was. The white man came to us. But we find so much. We don't look at the white man no more. We keep blaming ourselves now. As soon as you say something, come on. But the white man didn't make you do that. The white man, we had empires.
Lewis, listen. Without buyers, you can't have sellers. Without sellers, you can't have buyers.
Thank you. Who bought that trade?
But again, both sides.
Why didn't they go? All right, hear me out. Why didn't they go to India and bring people?
Actually, they did. They brought them
enslaved the native.
They actually did.
Right. They killed off the Native Americans first.
Let me say this, Louis.
Okay, and then later on it came up. Everybody keeps talking. I think Africans just got up, savages just jumping. This is when you buy into the narrative of what the white man's talking.
Look, can somebody else get a word in edgewise, bro? You know,
I'm sorry, Tom.
This is what happened, right? Unlike there's like a curve in African culture and civilization that we need to friggin' examine, right? When anytime a foreign power comes to its shores, the enemies locally start linking up and saying, you know something? I know we don't like each other, but that person out there coming from far away is a greater enemy. It happened with the Persians in the Greek states. It happened with the Gauls states of France against the Roman Empire. It happened with the Han tribe against the Mongols, right? Why is it the only place on Earth? Why is it the only place on Earth? It happened with the British Isles against the Vikings, right? Why is it the only place on Earth where the people saw the white man and the thing as their friend and their local people as their enemy? Something needs to be examined about that.
No. You see, that's a wrong.
They needed to fight
their enemies. That's a wrong narrative.
The Fanti had enemies, right?
No,
a lot of Africans don't want to see that.
The
Fanti had enemies.
Thank you. It's a wrong narrative, because as I asked earlier on, why didn't they get the Indians? They tried from them. We had the physical ability. Hello. I'm answering you. Right. I'm answering you. We had the physical ability out of all the people that they went around the world seeing that could do the work there. So that's how they ended up bringing it about. We can't help it before machinery. We had manpower. We were stronger. We are. Don't you know that? Physically.
Yeah, but
you gonna blame us for that?
Africa didn't benefit. Africa lost.
No. The bottom line is, before you was taken to Africa, you was on a continent with us doing the same shit we were doing, and you could have been selling slaves. You see, now you're making poor excuses. Now you're making
that is true.
We
were kings.
There were no large-scale commercial plantations in Africa. Stop the cap, man. Stop the cap. Stop it.
Sorry.
There was
no
large-scale commercial mercantile system of trade that Africans were engaged in.
You damn right there wasn't. You damn right there wasn't. So the white man made sure he engineered that. He's the one who was behind all this. You keep blaming the
We
victims all
know
the
that. We
time.
know that. We know that. But the bottom, like Diane said,
No,
willing
listen.
buyers, willing sellers, man. You know, so we
Right.
got. But like I said, I
Fair
moved
enough.
on. Look, I've forgiven. Look, I've forgiven
I know that,
Africa.
but
I've
what I'm
forgiven
saying
Africa. Look,
is,
I've forgiven Africa.
I
And the
understand.
whole thing is, I have not forgiven the white man because I look at cities like Liverpool, Amsterdam. These were all shithole. Lisbon, shitholes. They became rich metropolises, and Africa became poor, the poorest part of the world. So therefore, it seemed like Africans didn't benefit from the trade. You know,
Maybe because they're
America's only
illiterate.
here
Now,
because of
hello.
slavery.
Maybe because they were illiterate, didn't know how to read, and they was not exposed to the rest of the world. Have you thought about that?
Well, I thought Africa
Still,
is supposed to be the
I'm on
birthplace
your
of
side,
civilization.
Tyler. I'm on your side.
I thought that
I'm
Africa
just
was the
trying to tell
birthplace
the
of
brother.
civilization. Hey, Lou, you told
Listen,
me that Africa founded civilization. Ghanaians built
we
pyramids.
did. That's
So how
that's
you built
biblical and has
civilization
been
and then
proven.
say you didn't have education? Come on, man. Come on, stop it, man.
So the people in Ashanti were reading and writing. We were not literate.
Right, so they
We
didn't
were
have
not
a book
literate. That's what
to
you don't
learn that.
understand.
Yo, look, you're losing manpower. Africa is gonna be taken over one day
My
because
friend,
of loss of manpower.
listen to me. I come from an empire. We were gaining territory, so we weren't losing anything. It depends where you're from or where you're looking at it from. So hear me out, Carla. I'm on your side. The point I'm trying to make is we got to be careful that we don't spin this narrative that the white man has
Look,
into our
bottom
head
line,
and
that's
run
the truth.
in with
That's
it.
the way I
That's
see
what
it.
we're doing.
That's the way I see it, and nothing you could do is ever convince me. Let's just move on.
Right.
Hey,
Well, you're wrong.
the topic is
You're
about
wrong.
Liberia. What
Okay, that's the
you
wrong
want to
thing.
talk about?
And in terms of Liberia,
We're
it's
talking
quite
about Liberia.
obvious.
Look,
Now,
we're talking about Liberia tonight. You know,
I
the
am.
land
Yeah,
of
let me make
liberty.
my point
The
on
land,
Liberia.
Hey, you know something? I'm disappointed, Dinus. Kofi didn't know what the seal of Liberia was, man. I'm gonna give him an A minus. I mean, a F
I got an
minus.
A minus in class.
No. I'm gonna get that was a slip. I'm gonna give you an F minus,
Right.
man. You know,
Listen,
the
in
love
terms
of
of
liberty
Liberia,
brought us here. The bottom line, the most revolutionary thing ever to come to Africa was these people that tracked across from America and said, "You know something? We love this thing called liberty. We got a taste of it in America as free blacks. So we want to spread liberty as a black republic. Nowhere on the African continent did that exist. Nowhere did they guarantee that
we had our empires, my
No,
friend.
you didn't have that. You guys were enslaved.
Well, we didn't have
You guys
empires
were
in Africa.
bondage, man. You guys were
We
in
didn't have
bondage,
empires
man.
in
Come
Africa.
on. You guys were in bondage, man. Come on.
Bondage to who? No, we went.
You guys were in bondage,
We
man.
had
You guys
empire.
were selling people. You were in bondage. Come on, it's not even a comparison.
Listen to me. Yeah, now we're back. You see,
we
when it
had
suits
freedom.
you,
Our women had
listen, when it
freedom. Our
suits
women
you,
had rights and everything.
when it suits you, you selling each other, you sold us into this. If you don't get away from that, we're never going to go anywhere.
Oh, look, the bottom
Okay,
line is,
we're never going to get anywhere.
exactly what
I
happened,
haven't even
man.
had my chance to make a point about Liberia yet. And you bring it back to that.
My point about Liberia is we came to Liberia with the
history
idea
is
that
already
we've
written.
had enough.
History is already written.
Also, we
With
ended
the problem,
Liberia. We ended the slave trade on that coast. You know, we boat control.
that's not the point. That's not what this is about. That's not what this is
collapsed
about.
because of
Okay.
Liberia. The whole slave trade collapsed because we
No, it
introduced
didn't. No,
slave
it didn't.
ships and
It did
everything.
not. It did
You
not.
know,
Slavery started coming to an
we
end
put
when
liberated slaves into Liberia.
Britain lost America. Okay, Britain lost America. They were mad, so they started stopping the slave trade and then trying to make themselves the people who stopped the slave trade.
Well,
Bullshit.
the bottom line
There
is it took the white man.
was a certain time in history, and it was running out.
White man to
Okay,
fucking end the translate
right.
slavery. That's sad.
At the end of the day, the
That's
point
a
I'm
sad
making,
commentary on history,
right,
man.
right.
That's
The
a
point
sad
I'm trying to
commentary
make.
on
Can I make my point? Yeah, the point I'm trying to make, all right, is that the CIA, your very own white slave master you don't want to point to, is the one who brought down that regime. That's the first man you got to point to. When I come on the show or any other show, I'm always good. No, you don't. No, you don't. Because you always want to point to the black man who sold you enough. And this African soldier. You always come back to that. Okay?
Anything I do, I know.
We've got the same enemy. We've got the same enemy. Okay? So the first thing we've got to point out is the evidence. And the evidence is
we got traitors.
CIA overthrew the African American government in Liberia. CIA overthrew the African American Liberia regime in Liberia. That's the first thing we got to get.
You know that the Liberians were a mixture of Caribbeans,
Right. The second thing we got to get out.
People that ran the country one night. It wasn't just American people from
Right.
Liberia.
The second thing we got to work out. Can I make my point?
Brazilians there. There were
can I make my point?
there. There were Congolese there.
Brother, can I make my
people
point?
made up the country called Liberia. You
right.
know?
Can I make my point? The second thing was the mistake that the African Americans made when they took over Liberia.
Believing in Pan-Africanism.
Right? In 1980, in 1980, there should be no way that the only native person in government was only one person.
Howard,
That's a disgrace.
Daniel Howard was
Okay,
a
that's
bossa
a
man.
disgrace.
Daniel Howard was a bossa. Daniel Howard was a bossa man.
Yes. Who
In the
else?
time that you're talking about, he just happened to have a last name named Howard. Now, he wasn't the only indigenous person.
Okay, who else? How many else? How many?
The Massaquoi clan is probably the richest powerful family.
James
No,
Dawson.
how many was
which
in power? How many was in the government?
Was the first justice.
Yeah, the whole
Okay.
How
many?
The vice president under Howard was a native man.
Bro, the history's already been done.
People in the
The history has already been done.
government. The Massaquoi and the Fambulas were in the early settler. They married into the Johnson family.
How many was in government? How many was represented in government?
We have to ask the
rebels had their own a coalition, everything.
No, I'm talking about the government. The government. I'm talking about. I know that about the coalition. I want to know how many was in at the time. How many was in government that you can point to?
Yeah, there was a lot in government. But
we have to ask the question: was the interior
people from the United States because they had the most education?
The people in the interior
this is
had
where
their
you
own
went
sovereign
wrong.
lands. The people in
This
the
is where you went wrong. This is where you went wrong. Listen to me. This is where you went wrong. You made a mistake many other Africans make. That's why there's a lot of civil wars because they're not properly represented in power.
If you go into power, I don't believe in that. I don't believe you could give. Look at Lee Kuan Yew. You can't give illiterate people the power of state.
Why were they illiterate up to 1980? So you had all that
you can't
time.
give illiterate people. You get people who don't know how to.
Why were they illiterate?
And tribal.
Why were they? You mean to tell me?
The freedom. They
had
the freedom to practice their own.
That's where your argument falls flat, brother.
Freedom to practice their own civilizations within Liberia.
Yeah, they had their own civilization. They had their own culture.
Liberia was a Pan-African, the first proper Pan-African government, modern day.
The bottom line is, the native people didn't believe in Pan-Africanism.
Would you listen to me?
If you don't believe in Pan-Africanism, you have no problem just like me.
Would you listen to me?
I want nothing to do with you, you know? I don't believe in giving Pan-Africanism.
About 2 hours ago, listen to me.
And foolishness.
Listen, about 2 hours ago, I heard on the Ghanaian news that the present government has appointed 19 people, main people, to run the government, and there's not one Ashanti man in there. You know how much a problem is going to be if it carries on like that?
Who cares?
Right?
Maybe they're not smart enough.
So now you don't care because you don't want me to point to your problem where you went wrong. But you want to point where other people go wrong, but you don't want to point where you went wrong. It's obvious where you went wrong, okay? CIA was wrong. They should not have been invaded. They should have let the country sort out their own thing. Obviously, they've got a vested interest, as they always do. They are the devils. They're always behind it. And then, secondly, Liberia was about to take the helm of the Pan-African, the African government, what they call it, AU. They were about to head it, and they were going to change a lot of things. America didn't want that, okay? So they got this idiot called come in there and do the coup. If you had enough, at least six representatives of native people, they would have had their frustrations met, and you wouldn't have had an excuse for them to come in. That was a mistake, Carla. I'm not telling you you're wrong. I'm just telling you it's a mistake they made. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
Tubman brought
all right. Can I come in?
All right, let me pass the mic. Go ahead.
All right. So I was just hearing the conversation now, and you know the history of Liberia is something that is actually deep. Yes, and I suggest that people go and read it because it's very, very, very significant to Pan-Africanism. Because there are a lot of mistakes there were several mistakes that happened in the past that, you know, one of the things I learned from history is people study history so that they can repeat the thing that happened in the past. So there are a lot of things that happened in the past that I'm seeing right now in Africa now that some of these things might continue again if people don't read the Liberian history.
Yeah.
So one thing I want to get to for everyone else to understand here is this. You know, the whole issue about the Liberian society, even from the past and up to now, it have had that problem. They have that problem with for me, I have my own terms, right? Even though in Liberia they call it native Liberia, and they call the others American Liberian, they call it Congo people, but I call it the Africans and the lost Africans. That's how I call it, like, because the so-called Congo people or American Liberian, they are all Africans, but they are lost Africans. So they have always have that problem with mixing together. And the number one reason for that is, it's not like to say they are there's not it's not like to say they don't have good relationship. There are a lot of lost Africans and Africans that have met, that have had relationship, they marry. In fact, in Liberia is there are a lot of we have mixed, we have very we will have a lot of relationships together. But there's still that problem. And the problem is, the problem that a lot of that not just Americans are facing. The problem is trying to know what part of Africa you are mainly from. You know, when you in an African, when a person, for example, let me just use an African society for an example, right? When a person goes to a African village, let me just use Liberia. In Liberia, when a person go to a village, because villages have quarters, you can one of son of a village left the place for a long time, or he was not born there, he go back to that village. Even if you go and live in that village, you will still be a stranger in that village. People will accept him and say, oh yes, I was son for many years who have come back. We are of the same tribe. But they will accept him, but there will be a problem because he have not shown the family from that village that he's related to. So because he have not shown the family that he's related to, there will be a problem. The people there will like they will have problem interrelating. That is what will happen, because most of the time when there's time for gathering, and like when there are a lot of things that people will need, that you will need to show the person that you are from. So I always say this. The last time I've discussed it with a lot of African Americans, but some of them say that it's impossible, I should not talk about that. It's very important for you to do your DNA test to know what tribe in Africa you are from. That's the number one thing. You cannot talk about integrating Africa or Pan-Africanism when you have not done your DNA test to know what tribe you are from in Africa. If you are doing that, you just come in Africa, going from place to place, and people are just giving, like I've seen some African Americans or some Afro-Caribbeans or some other Africans from the diaspora coming, going to different African countries, and they are giving them names, giving them other native names. It's not bad, but it's not wise to me, because it's still you'll still be lost. So
What tribe are you from? What ethnic group are you from?
I'm Mano.
That's all. That's all you are, Mano.
Yes, that's my tribe in Liberia. I'm Mano.
Okay,
That's
so
my ethnic group.
so your people been in Liberia for thousands of years. You mean you didn't intermarry with none of the other ethnic groups?
We intermarry with other ethnic groups.
So why are you saying you only Mano?
The reason I say I only Mano is because I believe in the law of nature, that the offspring of a man is member of his tribe, and my father is from that tribe. That is why I say I'm Mano.
What is your mother?
My mother is from the Gio tribe.
So you have to say that. You have to say
No.
all of that.
No, yeah, it matters, right? It matters, right? But that is why I'm saying now it matters. I'm not talking about showing the other ethnicity you are from. I'm talking about listen, in Africa. Like, I'm talking about showing your lineage. I'm not just talking about just is I know it's obvious. It's obvious that a person will talk of the different tribes that they have that they have in our genes. It's obvious, right? But what matters is is what tribe you are from. And my definition of that is the offspring of a man is member of his tribe. That is my definition of nature. Because even if you go scientifically, you'll see that it's scientifically proven that when a person is doing DNA tests, when a lady is doing DNA tests, most of the time you need your brother in the family to come and give his to give his genetic material, so that he can know what group that you guys are from. So it's even
Nimba.
biologically proven by father that you that when from your father bloodline.
Do you say that because you're saying that it's easier for people to fit in to that society? Is that what you're saying? From that point.
Okay, see, I know that.
I'm not. Wait, let me hear two of you so I can know.
You're a country man anyway, brother. You're with us.
Yeah. So
you know this sport.
Yeah.
And if I could,
Yeah, go ahead, Sam, man. Go ahead, Mr. Sam, man.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, this is a very messy situation that we're in, as African people. First we had some wars on the west coast of Africa, Central Africa, and a large majority, not a large majority, but millions of us got shipped to the Americas, South America, and to the United States as well. But after the Civil War, the enslaved blacks that were in the South, they were promised reparations. In other words, they were promised by the Union military that we were going to have our own land, and that was part of Reconstruction to rehabilitate us from all those hundreds of years of slavery. But what happened was they also gave us an option to go back to West Africa as well, so we could either stay here and get our reparations, or we could have our own land in West Africa, which is supposed to be Liberia, I believe. So if the United States allow, enslaved Africans that were in the United States to have their own land, if that land was inhabited, it's right for another tribe to come in and push them out for whatever reason, just because they were jealous of what the American blacks had over there. I think that's wrong. Also, in regards to this boycott that they're talking about, the last time there was a huge boycott,
what is that boycott about, Danny?
Right. Last time there was
it's an adult temper tantrum, just people throwing a fit because Donald Trump's in office. That's all.
It's a Democrat thing.
Well, it's more than that, because the last time we had a boycott was during the civil rights movement with Martin Luther King, and that was in protest of them kicking that lady off of the bus when she was in the back.
Yeah. We know that history.
Protest. Yeah, that boycott lasted a while, and it had financial repercussions on the racist white people that lived in the South.
And it changed a lot of things.
It helped to push.
What would be the point of a boycott now? I mean,
it's like I said, it's to throw a temper tantrum. They're acting like adult children. That's all.
It's like the protest they had before when he was in power.
We weren't getting our reparations, and we're also losing DEI. So the thing is,
this boycott has nothing to do with reparations. Al Sharpton ain't talking about no damn reparations.
Or DEI?
Al Sharpton ain't talking about nothing about reparations. It's a grown men and women throwing temper tantrums because Trump won. That's all.
Well, it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to see what would the results or the ramifications of them, boycotting for a little while. I mean, I'm sure like venture capitalists will take advantage of this. If the stock for those large companies start to drop, they'll jump in, buy a bunch of stock, wait for the boycott to end, and then sell their stock to make a quick flip. But it'd be interesting if that $1 trillion worth of a buying power that the African Americans in the United States have, how much that would impact the United States economy. That would be interesting to see, even though we don't really know what would be the outcome of it.
I think some of the problems, when you look at it affecting some of our brothers and sisters, to me they're not that big a problem. I cannot see why, with all the millionaires we got in America, that Roland Martin couldn't organize it. Put together the best investors you got in the black community, set up a chain of shops right throughout all black communities, 7-Elevens, but a black one. In all the black communities, everything that the black people are spending their money on, provide it. Whatever Target are doing, provide it. A chain of shop, let black people know is the black thing. People go and buy it, support it. I used to go out and buy Right On magazine because I knew it was black. Ebony. I can't see why this is, to this day, this is a problem.
There's technology out right now. There's AI technology out right now where we could bring back that green book, where we could.
It's the most basic thing. You had it before.
We could work within a trade. We could work with our own trade.
Well, the thing is, I actually grew up in the predominantly African American community in Philadelphia when I was a young boy, and we did have, most of our doctors. My local doctor was a black man. The corner stores were owned by black people. The barbershops, all of them were owned by black people, and we were small businesses, and we were like self-sufficient. Years and years and years of going to the same people. But what happened was big business.
Yeah, we'll step in.
A lot of Asians came in.
Yeah, we had them here.
Came in,
We had
started
them
buying
here. They
up
got
our
bought
corner
out. They'll get
stores.
by out.
Yeah, but a lot of Asians came in, start buying up our corner stores, and then what they would do is they would lowball the price and kind of pick
Because they used to buy in bulk together.
Yeah, they
But
work
when the
together,
big
so
stores are
the
ready to
prices
step
were
in,
lower. And if
they'll
you
go
like
too.
in a rough neighborhood or you don't have a whole lot of money, take the thriftier price and go to the the
biggest store.
immigrants, the Asians and maybe the Latinos because they'll sell it cheaper. And then on top of that, then the big businesses started to come in, like Walmarts, the Target,
You
and
got that
they
here
could
in
sell their
England.
product even lower than the Chinese people could sell it,
Of course.
and quality stuff. So it's like the small businesses that we had in our community, they kind of went out of business because they couldn't compete with the prices that other groups were pushing. Is supply and demand, and the market was just that's just the way it went. So I don't know if we can bring that back, whereas though we bring back small businesses, but I think that the only way that we could do it is we would have to work like the Asians do, whereas though it's a huge conglomerate, we put our money together, and then we can bring once you buy in bulk, you can bring the price down of acquiring the product, and then you can
So
distribute.
the big stores are always going to win. I get you. But how about now going forward? How about a black political party? Even if you ain't going to win, a black political party that everybody can recognize. Select your own leaders, even if you're only going to do it on a local level. Why don't we have a black political party now in America? You can still join your Democrats and your Republicans, but have a black political party.
There's the Black Caucus.
Well, the politics states are run by economics, so we can't have a black political party until we have a black economy.
All the black professions put $5 a month to this political party in a black bank. There's certain stuff, just like you guys get frustrated with us here in Africa, there's certain stuff we can see in America, and it's a no-brainer. $5 a month, even $5 a year, each black person. Where's your ticket to prove that you've done your $5 a month? Here is my ticket. I hold it in my pocket, show you. I'm not a seller, I'm with the down my people. $5. Times it by how many people in America? What is it, 43 million? How much money is that?
Well, using the internet and you could say that either blacks boycotted the the vote.
This is a no-brainer.
Boycotted their votes, or they just they definitely didn't give it to the Democrats because that's what sways the vote. Electoral college.
Correct. Yeah, you can do that every year. That gives you power. But you should have a black political party now.
But you asked a good question earlier. Why was it so hard for the Liberian government to reach out to the rest of the interior? And
no, that was not. I didn't ask that question. What I was saying was, why didn't the Liberian government have more representatives from the natives to have their needs met? By 1980, you've been in the country how long? By about 200 years, nearly, or 100 and something years?
You could say 150.
Yeah, right. 150. How long does it take to educate a child from kindergarten to he's about 18 literate?
Do you listen to the?
That's why they went wrong.
Do you listen to the TRC? They had their reconciliation commission conference.
Was this in Liberia?
Yes.
Oh,
so
that's good.
everyone from each regime came. The people from Tolbert regime, the people from Doe's regime, and the people from Taylor regime. They all came in to talk. They had justices. They had people. They had indigenous people in there. But even the people that were inside the Truwig Party, if they said one thing against the Truwig Party, they would get thrown in jail. Especially the Fambules. And at the time, the Fambulays were related to the Browns,
I get you.
Chancellor Browns. But my guy here, Glay, is from Nimba, and I would say that under under Tubman's administration, he was president for 30 years.
Yeah.
He gained the most reach throughout the interior, throughout Liberia. So he started
I understand. All that I'm saying is that 150 years, and you couldn't get any illiterate person gets to be a face somewhere.
No. You see,
I think when you look back on it, that's a mistake, bro.
You can't do that. Everyone that speaks English is in America, and everyone that's a countryman is
I'm talking about. Come on, brother. You know this score, right? I'm talking about a representative, right, from that would have represented at least some of the natives, so nobody could say nothing.
Okay, so the father. Okay, so the father of the Minister of Information, his name is Bouia, Emmanuel Bouia. Emmanuel Bouia served under Tolbert's administration. He served under Doe's administration. He was an indigenous person from, I believe, Sino, and his father and mother represented two indigenous groups. What they did was they had governments in different regions, different counties of Liberia.
Yeah, obviously, government posts, administration.
They only put
When
you
you
on
are
these
done,
positions
when
if
you
you
are
could
done, I
earn.
want to explain my view on that. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Because you're from there. You're from there.
All right. So, but Coffee, where are you from?
I'm Black American, but I have Ghanaian citizen. I'm a
Oh,
Ghanaian
okay,
citizen.
I thought you were Liberian. Okay.
You're interesting, brother.
So okay, let me make it very simple, right? When the former slaves from America went to that part of Africa, you know, one the thing I was really observed about that history was they have fear. They were afraid that if they like that, because they were not ready, that they were not in touch with with their relatives that they left down here. They were lost. So when the other people there, they were afraid that the other people might come, and when the other people improve and get better, they might not really be that, like they might take over the society, and because they are not ready, they are not connected to relatives there, they might be lost within the society. They might not be knowing the society. That was one of the problems there.
But
So when
that
they went there,
was bound to be inevitable.
yeah, one of the major thing the decision they made was to do Liberia just how the white people did the Native Americans. To do Liberia, to run Liberia that way, so that they will always be on top. Then they look at their other African brothers,
That's not
and
realistic.
they
I
call
hear
that
what you're
coming.
saying, brother. That's so not realistic. They made a big
They
mistake.
wanted, the idea was to always be on top, and to do their other African brothers like then, because they used to call the other Africans like natives. There are some elders that told me back in the days that the other Africans that the natives, they used to get angry when the American Liberian called in the natives sometimes, because like used to say, but why you look just like me, and you are calling me natives?
That wouldn't have
They're
washed.
calling them countrymen.
They say from a
That's what we say.
country. They say
So
say country people.
so they did it to be on top, so that the others can always be down. They wanted to do it just how the whites did in Native American, because they were afraid that when their African brothers and sisters rise up, they might not they might ditch them, and they will wrong for assuming that, because you can't just conclude like that. So they treated the people like that. People always say that's not true, but when you want to know the true story behind that, go and ask local Liberians. Go and ask other
Yeah, no, I
Liberians
know
that
this
will
because
tell
I
you the
speak to
truth.
I got Liberian friends here.
Brother,
And then I
can
understand also
you
from
name
the
can you name any indigenous Liberians that were prominent before 1980?
Can you name?
All right,
Can you
so
name?
all
Yes,
right, I come in.
Justin,
All right,
Justin, Justin F. Doe.
all right. Please, well, all right, just a second. You come in, yeah, just a second. When I said they wanted to do the Native Liberian just like the Native American, I'm not trying to say they were not educating them. Just notice how the white people do Native Americans. Even how the white people treat black people. The white people don't Europeans send black people to school? They send Native
Yeah.
American to school. They send, in
Yeah.
fact, they allow them to work in hospitals. They allow them to serve as representatives. But at the end of the day, who is on top? White people. That
Yeah.
is, they
They were
they
kept out
started
of
to
their
study.
corridors of
Yeah,
power.
they started to study the way of the Europeans because they wanted to do that same thing to us. So they say we'll always be on top. But what we'll do is we'll bring them, we'll educate them, but we'll have a small circle of elite, that will have an elite circle that will be just how just how it is in America. That is just how they were doing us. In fact,
Yeah.
and there was, like they left doing it at that, and those people they studied when the native people they studied the whole thing. They say, but like even though when
Were
these
your
people
people
came,
raped? Were your
hmm?
people raped? Were your people being raped?
No, I
Were your
said this.
Were your people being
I'm not.
lynched?
No.
Were they
You are
being
Brother,
forced to
misunderstanding
work?
me. You are
All right,
misunderstanding me.
can I come in
I
here?
am
You
talking.
said just like
Bro.
you said just like the white people were doing
I am
us.
talking about systematic. Just how you see systematic racism is. That is what I'm talking about. I am not talking about the slavery. I'm not talking about what white people did to you. Did to the black people that are doing slavery. That is not what I'm talking about. Though I know that was evil. I am talking about just how systematic racism is. Do you know how they were treating their African brother? They were behaving just like black white supremacists. That is just how they were doing
No,
it.
I don't believe that. I don't think that's what I was going on. I'm a Liberian myself. The the guy who just spoke that he from Nimba, the Minister of
Yes, I'm from
Education.
Lima County.
Okay, Justin F. Doe, Minister of Education, he was a native. He was member of Toba government,
That is why
right?
I'm saying. I say it doesn't mean that they
So
will
let
not
me
bring.
finish. Let me
It
finish.
doesn't mean
So
that they will not bring you to be minister. You will
I
be minister.
remember,
You will be representative. You'll be a doctor, but you will never be a president.
okay, I remember
That
when the Congo people took gas station from the Lebanese and told them that they cannot own properties in Liberia. And that was the
Yep.
time my father started buying gas stations in Nimba County, Sanikule. The main gas station that is in Sanikule right there, share gas station, is owned by my dad. So he bought it from the Lebanese. He stopped the Lebanese from owning properties in Liberia.
But brother,
But
how many natives? Brother, how many natives were there in his cabinet? I'm talking in 1980, before the overthrow. How many natives were in his cabinet?
It's hard to tell that. The reason is,
Oh, come on, brother.
For my tribe, there's certain tribe in Liberia, right? If they call them a countryman,
brother, hear me out.
let me
How
finish. Let me
many?
finish.
That can't be hard.
No, the reason I'm not trying to be specific is
The
most of them
hardest
change
is
their
of course.
name. They change their name to carry the African American name, the Congo name, right?
No, that I
For
understand.
example,
But I'm sure they knew who was who.
No, but it was very difficult for you to know.
Oh,
It's
come on.
hard. It's hard. For the reason is,
bro, no.
when they are educated, when they become educated, they don't want to be called a countryman. They want to be called a Congo man.
So they take on the names of the foreign sounding name. I get that. I understand.
that was not always the case. Most of those people were adopted by. Most of those people were adopted by those American Liberians, and most of them, and that is the reason why most of them have that name. It's not because they wanted to be called so-called Congo. Most of them were adopted. In fact, during that time,
because
no,
someone
I come in.
left
It is true
Johnson,
that
right?
it is true that there was some that changed their name, right? But there was class. There was a class system in Liberia at that time. For example, if you are carrying the name, if a person is carrying the name or like my name I have now, Clay, and the Glay family is not known in Liberia, just how it is known around the world, where when you are in a particular nation, your name is not that known. Most of the time, you don't go high. So because of contact, because people used to like adopt, like for example, when another person will go when they're working with this man, and the man will say, "Oh, I want to be like your son," or they'll go and go to, and when they or somebody sponsor another person to go to school, like that, they will take that person last name because of that class. They want to be known. That was the reason, because they were on top.
My tribe, none of my tribal person changed their name. I'm from Madingo tribe. Someone will not come into my Madingo tribe and say, change your name. It never happened in Liberia. So it depends on the specific tribe that you came from, right? We have Madingo man that was in Toba government. He was carrying sheriff name. He did not change his name. So it was based on tribe. There was also some complex issue. When people, especially from Nimba, Jason F. Doe, that's not a mononym. Why would you call yourself Jason F. Doe? And he was educated. He was a minister of education. He was not
Joseph Smith, all these men.
right. Stephen Daniel and all of these people. Why would they change their name? Right?
Do you know the Chancellor Nise Brunel?
Who's that?
Neat is Nete Nise Brunel. He was the grandfather of Dr. Fambule.
Yeah, Dr. Beaumont Fambule. Beaumont Fambule was from Lofa. He was a Lofa from. I think he belonged to Loma tribe. So but when you see Dr. Fambule, you would think that he's American Liberian, right? But he was not. He was a Dr. Beaumont Fambule. He was highly educated, professor, even taught in South Africa. But all these people started identifying themselves with African American because of the complex issue, right? But they were not forcing people to carry their names, and these are the same Native people that brought the crisis to like someone like Baco Matthew in 1979, April 14, 1979, when he brought. There
was a reason Baco Matthew brought it, and the reason was you see, I had a problem for me. For me personally, I honestly like my favorite president ever in Liberia history is Tolbert, man, because he was the most innovative president. But Tolbert, I had an issue with Tolbert, just like the rest of the other American Liberians that were before him. They had that particular way of ruling thing, almost like systematic racism, but it was not racism because like we understand we're of the same race, right? But when they had only one political party that was really in charge that was operating at that time in the nation, and before Tolbert could become president, Tolbert and Baco Matthew, they had a big meeting. Then they said that they want to change that thing in Liberia. So they Tolbert sent Baco Matthews to the States to study. Baco Matthew was a native. So when Tolbert is already like Baco Matthew because he was extremely brilliant. So when he sent Baco Matthew to the States to study, when Baco Matthews came back, Tolbert became president. When Tolbert became president and Baco Matthews decided to institute that idea, Tolbert told him, no, do not do it again. But Baco Matthews said, but why? Why shouldn't I do it? He said, no, I tell you, no, don't do it. I'm not president now. And like Tolbert's heart changed now because of power greed. He decided for that to not happen. And Baco Matthews said, but we need to have more than one political party in the country so that we can have inclusion in this country so that native voice can be heard in this country. So Tolbert said no. He said it will not work.
No, but I mean the same thing still going in Africa. Tolbert, what you said is true. Tolbert educated a lot of the native, right? Even Dr. Boma Famula, Dr. Tupanati Pote, Samuel, this guy or Samuel Jackson, all of these people, he educated them. He sent them out and went to Google universities in America. But when they
white people can educate Native American and Black Americans and put them into institutions to do work, but at the end of the day, they cannot go to the highest hierarchy. That is just how they were treating and the natives.
But things were changing. But then the native king, what they did, they started killing each other, right? Is that what they did? They started.
The natives were not killing each other. That's not true.
Why would you say they were not killing each other? First of all,
even the so-called Congo people were a lot of them were foolish leaders that were killing each other for some foolish reasons.
The first president in Liberia was Joseph Jenkins Rabo. The second was Stephen Ali Benson, right? 19 past president, and they passed through it with no fighting, no civil war. But the only native president that we
sure they don't have conflict. They have colorism. That one of the things you know.
But there was no civil war. They did not take arms and start killing each other.
You know of one of the presidents that died mysteriously that people say he drowned in a river swimming. One of the reasons.
But what I'm saying is that look at the destruction that the native
Tubman was just as dark as him.
Right, Samuel Doe,
very dark.
Thomas Kiumpa from Nima County. He was the second man of the coup d'etat. Samuel Doe was the first man. And Grand Judah is Nima. They are almost border. They are very close. They are married. Right. So when they overthrew what Samuel Doe did, he started eliminating all his friends. Thomas Monson, who was the
I have
vice
a,
president,
I have
he
a
came
problem
up.
with Samuel Doe.
Right, he started killing all
Honestly,
these people. And then again, the African American guy that he made GSA director for purchasing logistics government or material, Charles Taylor. He was a criminal. He stole money from the Liberian government and flew to the U.S. Right, this guy was African American. Was African when he came here.
His mother was Gola.
What the CIA went through him and they brought all this destruction to Liberia again. The same thing over and over and over. When we look at all these times that happen, it's only the white people that always do this. Nothing else. CIA create trouble.
The coup blamed the coup. We know who done the coup. CIA done
look
the
at
coup.
CC
You never
Dennis.
forget
CC
it.
Dennis had nothing to do with the coup. The finance minister of Liberia at that time was the best finance minister ever in Africa. And he go to Africa. They used to call him CC Dennis. He was on his way negotiating deals. They put him on the podium, fired him 13 ministers. How will he keep the entire leadership of a president? This boy had nothing to do with whatever that was going on. So when that started and the native people came, 19 of them, they started killing each other.
Do you know?
Explain the story of
Have you heard
native
of
killing each
Chico?
other. Let me hear it. Wait, I want to hear the story of native killing each other.
Those kids, Thomas Monson, right?
All right, why did they kill him? They were not killing each other for foolish reason. Let me tell you.
There was a massacre at the university too. There was a massacre at the university.
But that massacre happened when the Civil War already started. When Prince Johnson and Charles Taylor, even Charles Taylor and Prince Johnson that came with the Civil War, they split.
There was Moja students.
I want to ask you, sir. Why did Samuel Kanye do have issue with people with Nima County or with the people of Nima? Can you please explain that?
Because Nimba had the iron ore. But go ahead.
Well, the reason they had issue with Nimba, to be fair, the Nimbanians among the native, they are the most educated people among the native.
Nimba had the money.
Right, and they have the resources. We have land, we have diamond. Because my father was in oil business. He was in diamond business. So that's why we were living in Nimba. We had diamond, and
which is the richest region in Liberia? Which region is like the wealthiest?
Nimba, where I'm from. Where this guy from? Nimba.
Monrovia and then Nimba. But Nimba was when Samuel Doe came to power, Nimba had a floor in government. And they controlled the iron ore. And Samuel Doe knew if he doesn't sack Nimba, then they're gonna sack him. And that's how it was.
Right. And then he took his countrymen and put him in charge of Lanku, they call charge Juru. So while he was in Nimba, he was just killing the Gio and the Mano for no reason because he wanted to stay in power. So that's
and you see, I don't want to, but let me just, Samuel Doe, when Samuel Doe became president, that's why I said I have some issue with Samuel Doe, right? When Samuel Doe became president, the thing about Nima people is we don't like to submit to wrongdoing.
Power greedy.
No. How many people for Nima in government?
I'm a Nimbanian. I'm from Sanikole. I went to Simiri High School. Simiri that registered Sanikole over there. I know Nimbanians, they are power greedy. They all want to be.
Not every Nimbanian.
Yeah. Go ahead, Louis. I'm gonna pass the mic to Bobo Red. Go ahead.
Just before I came on, I heard that the UK have put sanctions on Paul Kagame now.
Yeah. They're not gonna give him aid.
Yeah, it's more than that. I think all associated going to be, because you know the UK foreign secretary is a black guy from Tottenham, so he's quite a Pan-Africanist. But I think now you're going to see the world going to be really reacting to this.
It'll be in there. Vovo Rants. Go ahead, Vovo Rants.
I came up to touch on the topic if I could for a second. Yeah, like I said, I live in Black America. That ain't really the type of time that we on, to build Liberia or anything like that, or build anywhere else in the world. I mean, we focused on like shit like reparations, so we can rebuild our community here. You know what I mean?
Liberia is a success story for African Americans, really, for a long time. The first proper independent black country on the continent.
We not interested in that. We just not. I'm just keeping it real. What's going on the ground? You know, we can share our own opinions, but I'm talking about on the ground in my community. We ain't. Well, we focused on tearing down these dilapidated buildings in the hood and trying to see if we can save that house at the end of the street and getting more of our businesses back in our neighborhood. You know, the stuff that America destroyed by dropping drugs in our community and mass incarceration. And you know what I mean, doing things to break up the black family. That's what the type of time that we on. That's what we talking about. As far as the boycott over DEI, we're glad that DEI is gone. That didn't benefit us. That wasn't for us. If I could, I'm gonna go one more second. I'm gonna go like 30 seconds, brother, and then I'm gonna mute. You know, we glad that shit is over with. We interested in lineage-based policies, not DEI.
Okay. With that gone, brother, is that not gonna make, because the white man hasn't changed his ways towards the African American? What protection do you have in law now that's going to defend you against the constant racism that's always there? Because you've lost all the gains you've made.
No, we haven't. We lost all the gains that we made.
If they've moved the diversity thing, that's less chance of you being.
That's not for us. That never benefited us.
I understand, but what specific do you have in law that's going to now protect you guys against the racism? Now that's gone.
Well, I mean, there's always going to be racism. That's always going to be racism there. You know what I mean? But we trying to change the law. We need lineage-based policies specifically for our lineage.
Thank you.
So
I like that. I like that.
The reason why Liberia still exists is because the Black American Buffalo Soldiers, who every so often came over to Liberia and had to put their foot down and had to regulate things, whether it was against the French, whether it was against the indigenous people, and whether it was against the British. And everything that every move forward that Liberia had was because the Black Americans staying and raising up their prowess in the United States. Liberia became a sovereign country and became recognized by the United States after the Civil War and what Black Americans did during the Civil War. And throughout that, there's been many engages between Black America and Liberia. W.B. Du Bois, Thurgood Marshall, and Marcus Garvey. So we definitely have to have Africa in the West, and we have to have Africa in Africa. Definitely.
I don't think my man agrees with that. Do you agree with that, brother Bobo?
No, I know. We
Are you one of the FBA's guys?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
But I think with the African American situation is, that's what Dennis always says. You should have other options. You've been waiting for the reparation for a long time. How possible is that you're going to get free money from
not free money
from America? I don't see the possibility of
it's not free. Well, that ain't, you know, that's our battle to fight.
Yeah,
that's our battle to fight.
The best thing that you can do is to have second option. Try to start something in Africa. You know, they have.
Why? I don't think he's going to do that if he's FBA.
Of you surviving the system here. I don't.
Why? Bro, why start something? I mean, like, let's be practical here, gentlemen.
If they give some of you money, how are you going to manage it? I mean,
what do you mean? Like, we can't manage money? You know how offensive that is to say that? Are you one of those guys, or they're going to just spend it on Jordan?
You don't want to dance. If you give him money, he will manage it. But with you talking about the whole, if you give people,
you one of those guys that say we're going to just spend it on Jordans and Cadillacs and Hennessy.
Sid, are you in America? Sid, are you in the U.S.?
Yeah, I'm in New York.
So without Black Americans being here, you couldn't have the rights you do now. You couldn't have.
I'm not. No. For me, I actually found that annoying. Yeah.
Harlem,
to be honest, if Black American had not been honest, still we would have still make a way out. We never asked Black Americans to do human rights fight for us.
Yeah,
for Africans to go to America.
That one's another narrative we've got to change. Don't forget, Africans go to Europe. We go to Asia. We go to different parts of the white world.
The reason I'm
We're
saying
already
this,
there.
So we're talking about specifically here.
I
The
actually
reason
think when
why.
a black
So
American
what
say
you
The
that,
reason
saying?
I
why.
don't
Can
think
I say
that.
this?
Arrogant.
Let me say this. The reason why you can be around here with dark skin and you don't got to
Uh-huh.
worry about going into slavery is because of us. The reason
okay,
why you can be
okay.
around here with
That's
dark
not
I'm
true.
skin.
sorry.
That's
That
not true.
no,
The reason why you can be
that's
around
not
here
true.
with dark skin and you don't got to worry about drinking out of segregated water fountain or
All right.
ride on the back of the bus or worry about being
Oh yeah,
lynched
that
or
one,
worry about a white
Let
man
me
breaking in
explain
your
to you
house
why.
that one
Let
I
me
and
explain to
understand.
you why
But
it's
raping
not
your
the
true.
point
daughter
I'm
is
making
because of
is
us.
that
Do you
we
know why
go.
that's
Come on,
not
man.
true?
So
Like
how much,
that's why, man.
brother?
Bobo,
Here, I
It
understand
ain't
that
gonna
one.
Bobo,
work. It ain't gonna
Right,
work putting
Bobo
love
rent, right?
between us.
but brother,
Y'all got
listen,
a weird way of thinking.
listen. Hello,
But
brother. In
I don't think
2025, we go
that
to
hold on.
England. Sorry, for 1 minute. In 2025, we go to England. We can go to Ireland, Sweden, all the most whitest of white places. We go there. We are international people with a passport.
It's
We
hard to
didn't, when we come to America, all right, we appreciate the fact that the Americans, the Africans who are already in America, have already made certain things possible. That makes it easier for us racially to go there and do this and do that. But we go to other white countries is more white than America.
and they
So
are
why do
even
you
more
keep
successful
reducing the African?
African in Europe compared to America, and not because of slavery over there. And the reason I'm saying
No,
that most of you will not manage the money is I live in Harlem. I don't see any African American boutiques here. Every business that I see in Harlem either belong to African
Donis,
or
can
it
I get
belong
in, bro?
to the white.
That's
Right?
just your
The
racism. That's just your
listen,
racism. That's what that is. Sometimes we got to
no,
start
no,
being
no.
cut
African
and
women,
dry. Do
African
you think? What do you mean? We got brilliant business people all over America. You guys couldn't manage your money. You couldn't manage your resources.
the only thing that I see,
excuse me, brother.
You wouldn't be in Sweden. You wouldn't be in Europe. You wouldn't be in America.
Excuse me,
You
brother.
can manage
Excuse me,
your resources.
brother. Brother Bobo. Do you realize that a white man is a migrant in America? Do you realize that?
It's 2025.
Your first lady, who's married to Trump, she's a migrant.
Okay, what's your point?
So what? Okay, so why don't you have a problem with them? But you got a problem because we're black.
I do got a problem with them. What are you talking about?
Well, no, but you're not delineating. You don't seem to mention them. It's like
Sir.
people from
The reason why you can be in this country
people from Africa.
1 minute, please. All right,
Let me pass the mic to Johnny because he's been waiting and we'll close out. Go ahead, Johnny.
All right, appreciate it, Prince Donis. Yeah, let me say what I'm gonna say real quick. It's crazy how you brought up this topic, man, and you brought up, I guess, from building Liberia to how we're doing a boycott and target over DEI, and we're running across the same type of issues and stuff, man. The same type of like classism and tribalism and stuff that kind of divided Liberia is doing the same thing in this chat right now when we try to talk about specific topics, bro. So me as a Black American too, let me tell y'all that this man does not speak for us. He does not speak for the majority of us. All right, I'm not gonna throw no shade, but that's not how the majority of us see things.
Brother, we got you.
All right, appreciate it, Uncle Lewis. But I will say this though, Pan-Africanism has been around before FDA, before ADOS, before people stop claiming to be Africans, and it's gonna be over a lot after all these fads and stuff come and go. So we're gonna continue doing what we're doing. We're gonna work off the continent. We're gonna get that immigrant mentality from the Africans, the hardworking people that come in here, because we did lose that for being Americans. And that's kind of what holds us back too. We're gonna continue our cultural exchanges. We're gonna continue to learn the language. We're gonna continue to learn the food, the customs, the traditions. Prince Dinas, I appreciate you always doing this every year when you send you set up these trips to these festivals and stuff. I know you're going to Zanzibar in September.
Well, Johnny, when you coming, Johnny?
I go, but I got a little bit of a cheaper route, bro. So I'll probably meet you out there.
Okay, all right.
But all respect though, man. But yeah, when you come out and you do this kind of stuff, man, it just kind of goes to show that we can't really get nowhere when we start taking shots at each other, and it's like it's not helpful. When you say these things and you exclude or you include people, you don't actually get to something that's helpful or productive. So I mean, you might be behind whatever movement you're behind, but all together is just causing more noise and division. And that's what you kind of leave it on. So I think even if you're trying to make a certain point, bro, don't leave it on something negative, because that just leads to where we at, man, with the over talking and not focusing on the facts and all this stuff. Y'all don't want to change minds. Y'all just kind of go off of insults and shit like that, bro. I mean, like, we smart people, we all kind of should be striving for the same thing. So no matter what you want to call yourself, you can't be coming in and showing what's this and what's that, and I'm mad at the immigrants and shit, because that's the wrong people to be mad at. That makes no sense.
Thank you.
But yeah, I'm gonna land it right there.
Just
Appreciate
for the record,
all right. Vovo. Let me address what you just said shortly. Yeah. Okay. So, like the last time I said this on Dinah's show, I said that two things. One thing people are always been talking about Africans and Africans in the diaspora connecting together, but I always say this: let light connect with light, because light and darkness cannot connect. Those Africans in the diaspora that want the truth, that have seen the light and they want the truth, and the Africans are on the continent and they want to unite, let them unite. Those two are two lights coming together. But those Africans that see the truth, but they don't want to go for the truth, but they want to be foolish, let them be in the darkness and let them be doing what they want to do. And the second thing there is this. The second thing there is we should add value to Africanity. One thing I always notice is why we keep running behind a lot of foolish people who always talk, oh, I don't want to be African, I don't want to. And one thing, if like for example, right, like when you see a person of let's say you are related to someone, right, and you go to the person and say, oh, you are my brother or you are my sister, the person said, no, I don't want to have anything to do with it, but you're always behind that person. The person will not begin to value you. But if you go to the person and tell the person, oh, you are my brother, and I want us, because family, it is good for relatives to unite, because we are all that we have. And the person tell you no. If you leave that person, if one way or other, the person will start to value you. The person will say, the person here that I said no to the last time, the person is not coming around me like that. It seems that there's something about the person. Let me go and check it out. And
you cannot be a serious person if you're taking on a name for your people given to you by a pimp YouTuber, and you're taking on a name given to you by some lesbian who can't even claim Africa because she's too damn light. She looks like an African
FBA found in Liberia
and a damn leprechaun.
So
just for the record, if you're too light, you can't claim Africa.
I said she's too damn light to claim Africa. I'm talking about a woman who decided
is that specifically for her, or is that period?
That's specifically for that ugly woman. She looks like a cross between a Congolese and an Irish leprechaun.
We shouldn't lay on that, right? We shouldn't lay on that, right? Yes, yeah. Let's take that.
Right? There's no need for insult. I can't take a guy serious that's doing insults.
FBA is an insult to black race. I'm telling you that now. FBA is an insult to the black race, and the CIA is the one starting this crap. He's paying Tariq Nasheed come and do this shit.
Why the CIA need to do that? Why?
It's called division, bro.
Because they rely upon idiots like because they rely upon
well, there you go. So you're doing their work.
Because they rely upon idiots to do their bidding.
Wait.
divisive too.
Who kicked Tariq Nasheed?
Damn right, I'm divisive. I tell you,
Tariq Nasheed from going to England?
If you follow ADO and FBA, you're an idiot.
Who stopped Tariq Nasheed from going to England?
Here's the thing, though. This shouldn't really bring up.
Tried to go to England, and he was removed from England.
Yep.
His passport
here's my thing. This is not a Tariq, but the Tariq name isn't in the space.
Why, don't you, brother?
These people names aren't in the space. Y'all are low-key Tariq fans. I come to touch on the topic.
He's the one who started your movement. He started your movement.
Just for the record, this is not a new concept. This is not a new. Google Norris Shelton. Norris Shelton. You don't even know who that is.
I understand that Kunde is a new concept. I understand that sellouts are not a new concept. I understand that the black race, the problem we've got, are people who worship white people and do exactly what they want to do.
Would you be considered a sellout?
Do you think you're gonna get? You
see America as the enemy, and you ran to America.
Trump is.
I
don't live in America. You would never catch me in America.
Oh no, you live in the UK. The people that colonized.
Well, now I live here.
That colonized you.
Yeah, I'm an international businessman, like your first lady. Like your first lady. Your first lady is a migrant. Okay, but you don't have a problem with that because she's white. But because I live here, and then you have a problem.
No,
I'm here for a reason.
Here's my problem, right? You interjecting yourself in business that's not yours.
What business are you
Black Americans do over here? That's
Well,
our
I
business.
already told you my perspective on
I
that.
have brothers
I mean,
and sisters
like,
in America,
it's on the
and if
topic.
they're being infected by
You're
idiots, I got to point
interjecting
it out.
yourself. You've never been on the ground here in America. I live in Cleveland,
I
Ohio.
don't
I'm
have
on the
to. I
ground.
don't have
I own
to.
property here. I'm sitting in my house that I own in my neighborhood that I grew up in.
All right,
My
so
parents grew up in. My grandparents grew up in. We didn't run
Vovo,
away.
I have a question for you, Vovo. Vovo, I have a
like the
question for you.
America, just
So
like the
I come over, Vovo.
Liberian.
Why
Are the
is it that?
FBA not right?
Why
Are
is
they
it?
not right
Why
to
is it that you
have a group?
decide to you decide to separate yourself from your African family? Why is it you decide to do that?
Why
Listen
do
what
they
I'm saying.
call
I've been
America?
separated from my
No.
African family. We've
Why did
never
they?
been one
It's
people.
about class, bro. Y'all
Why aren't
can't listen to
Americos
this.
considered natives? Why?
Huh?
Why aren't Americos to Liberians considered native people? It's the same thing.
The reason why the name is not considered your hand, that you see
Look,
that.
let me
The
say
reason
this,
why
right?
it is like that. First of all, the
Growing
reason
up,
why it is not.
my mother and father never called us Africans.
So
I come from a group of people that says, "Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud." That would be my mother and father are children.
So you want to identify
How do you
yourself
get
with
to
just a
America,
color?
brother?
Music of their childhood.
Okay, how do you get to
he
America?
don't even know it, bro. He over here
They
doing
would
it.
play that in the house. That's the music
No, how
of
did
my
your people
childhood.
get to America? Brother, Mr. Bobo, how did your people get to America?
Listen, bro, we're gonna be going into this whole. You're gonna try to
No,
dissect
it's
my
a
whole
simple
thing.
question. Because you look like a Nigerian to me.
But we don't want everybody
This is
to
how my people
identify
got to
themselves
America
with
right here.
Africa.
Look this
You
up.
know?
Look up these three stars. Look up these 3 stars.
Yeah, that's
all
you know,
gotta
you know
do.
that's
I
a
don't think it's
KKK
worth
flag.
it
You
to
know that? That's
discuss
a
things with
KKK
Vovo,
flag.
man.
Listen, what I'm saying.
That's a KKK flag.
I'm not interested in insults and your
I'm not
theories and all
insulting
that.
you, bro. I'm telling you that flag is a KKK flag.
How do you know?
Okay,
And you
it's a
over in
KKK
Europe.
flag that's
How
twisted
do you
around.
know though? How do you know?
Because
I
I've
think
looked into that.
I
You know,
think
And that
I
flag
think
is
we
not
should start.
no,
original.
you didn't
You
look
know,
into it.
I
No,
think
you didn't.
I think we should stop
It's not
attacking
true.
Vovo. Yes, I
But
think we should
But
stop talking to Vovo like this, right?
you
brother.
got to shut
If
stupidness
Vovo,
down.
no, listen.
We don't want
You
everybody to
cannot be an
identify
FBA
themselves
at
thing is,
first. Now you're going to be a foundation
the
of
thing is,
anything in America when you're black.
if Vovo,
No,
if
Y'all having the
Vovo,
wrong
We're at the
arguments, bro.
foundation.
That's
We
not
got
the right
Foundation
argument
of
to
what?
have with him.
What are you the
I don't think
foundation of in
I would
America?
say
Hey, guys, let me pass the mic to Big Paul. I can't. I'm not gonna say your name. Big. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Big pause.
Yeah, Big pause, and we'll go from there. Go ahead, Big pause. Unmute yourself. Big pause. Unmute yourself. Big pause. Unmute yourself.
Big blacks, brother.
I ain't say I no. Go ahead.
You know, we can use another word, big African, whatever, man. Vovo, I want to ask you a question. Why are you so scared of Pan-Africanism? It seems to me that you love going on Pan-African channels, and you're so afraid that this Pan-Africanism is going to work. So you go and go on Pan-African channels, and then you antagonize Pan-Africans.
I'm not antagonizing anybody. I can't.
Because it gets views, bro. It's just another way to grip and make
rewind the video. Literally, I don't antagonize nobody. It's just let's talk about Pan-Africanism. How can you get all these? It's not even practical. First, you got to figure out who is a part of this group. Who is a part of this group all over the world. Then you got to get all these people thinking the same way, acting the same way.
No, you don't.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
No group thinks collectively like that. That's not how it works.
If we're a football team, everybody got to be the score a touchdown.
Bro,
now this guy got to be the lineman. He got to play his role. One guy got to be the receiver. The other guy got to be the quarterback.
All French people think the same? Do all Afghani people think the same? Nah, bro, it don't have to work like that. That's not how it goes.
No, it doesn't. And then when you talk about football, you're talking about different positions.
The same language. What are you talking about?
Different positions for the same goal, to score a touchdown.
No, that's a poor analogy. That's like saying everybody in Asia. That's like saying everybody in Asia speaks.
Everybody got to be on the same team.
Is everybody in Asia on the same team, bro?
Everybody got to be on the same team.
Are Cambodians on the same page with Chinese? Are Thai on the same page with Vietnamese? Bro, you're not making no sense. You got to try something else.
Obviously, you're scared of it because you keep going
scared
to this panels,
bro. Scared of what?
Because you try to dismantle Pan-Africanism. You try to, man. You want to. You're scared. What are you scared of?
Come on, bro. With the
Scared
shame
that
attack.
Liberia will happen again, right?
Me or FBAs can't dismantle Pan-Africanism. There's nothing
Damn
about
right.
us stopping
You
you
damn right.
and your brethren.
You're right. So if you can't dismantle Pan-Africanism, why come on the Pan-African show?
We don't give a fuck.
Because you get views, bro. You
I
get
came to
views,
talk
you get
about the
attention, you
topic.
get likes. That's what bro's
No, I
after.
came to talk about the topic.
You're right now. Me and this brother, we're African American. Me and
The
John.
guy actually said, the guy said, hey, are you one of those FBAs? He brought that up. I was talking about.
You came with FBA talking points. It was obvious that you're FBA because you come with these FBA talking
I'm
points.
telling you what's going on the ground. Nobody's doing no 1960 boycott of Target. That's not what we're on right now. That's not the type of time my community that I live in, that I'm every day, that I own property in. That's not the type of time that we on.
Okay, who's the leader? Who's the FBA leader? Who's the leader?
It ain't no leader. It ain't no leader.
Well, and Tariq Nasheed the leader?
That's what Tariq Nasheed told him to say.
Sir, you have a very bad Tariq problem.
Tariq Nasheed tells him to say there's no leader.
Tariq's not here.
He's the one that created the name, the term FBA.
You talking to Volvo.
And he tells them to tell everyone
He's the one who
there's
ordained
no
that flag
leader.
you keep carrying up,
Even
bro.
though
You're talking to Volvo.
If he gets sought after, they're gonna look at him like the leader. Let's not play the nut role.
Yeah.
The reason why FBA was created was because of what happened in Liberia. The popular argument is to say that Black Americans, when they went to Africa, they enslaved the indigenous people. Now that Black Americans want to,
FBA wasn't created because of that,
distinctive.
Yeah, that's not
now that Black
that.
Americans want to be distinctive, now it's a problem. But when it comes to
African
Liberia,
American,
everyone
African American is a very respectable name for Black
Kofi,
people
let me
in
ask
America.
you this, Kofi. Kofi, let me ask you this, right? So you agree with the term FBA? Did you read the website?
I do agree.
So
with
do you believe that we're half Indian?
No, but I believe by now we're indigenous to this country.
So let me.
So
let
if
me
you
get
don't
on what you
believe
said.
that so you don't believe that you're half Indian. So why take up the moniker
Nobody
FBA?
said half Indian. Nobody.
We can go to the website and see that. We can
We're
go to
building.
the
It says
website.
nothing about half Indian. The whole website says nothing about half Indian. It says nothing about half Indian.
You're a Ghanaian citizen and you wanna hold that FBA title? You can't be serious, brother.
I have to acknowledge my lineage that's currently here. I have to
I
acknowledge.
know, but why would you want to use a name given to you by a YouTuber, a pimp YouTuber, instead of a respectable name recognized by the world?
Before they put the foundational in front of Black Americans,
what's wrong with being a
everyone
pimp just for
said
one? Like,
those
what-
Black
what-
Americans.
Okay.
Bro, we can't
So what's wrong with being an
Those Black
African American?
You
You've
want
been
something
to Ghana. You got a Ghanaian name. You got a Kofi name.
But I'm in America right now.
Name.
So
Right.
I'm in America.
Fair enough. So you come from America, right? And you're African American. Why would you want to change that name to an FBA given to you by a pimp on YouTube?
Because when I go to Ghana,
Can anybody explain this to me?
when I go to Ghana, they call me a Bruni.
Rubbish.
They call me a
Rubbish.
Bruni.
You know what they call me when I go to Ghana?
So I have to tell
They
them,
call
like,
me
no,
O'Bruni. Listen,
Black
they call me
American.
O'Bruni. Listen to me. They call me O'Bruni from England. And my dad was a chief in Ashanti. Why come on, this is just trivial stuff.
Bro, we
Kofi,
having the wrong
let me
argument
just say
again.
this, Kofi. Let me just say this real quick. Before you take on that moniker, you really need to understand the foundation of that name, FBA. The guy just had the FBA flag. There's 3 stars on that flag. Tariq's website explains that the 3 stars represents the Black people that come from Africa, the Moors, and the Native Americans, the Black Native Americans that were already here. Do you believe there were Black natives that were already here?
We mixed. We procreated with them when we were forced off. When we ran away from the.
You have to use microscope to find that Black natives that were there that
Native
look like
Americans.
So you saying that some of us have Indian blood in us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So some of us have white blood in us. So why not 4 stars?
That's true.
It doesn't make no sense.
Because
It
the white
doesn't make
people
any
wasn't
sense.
considered. No.
doesn't
The
make
white
any
people weren't
sense.
considered. The white people were never reclassified as Negro.
It don't matter. It's still foundational, right?
They
But
were never reclassified as Negro.
But
it's still
again,
foundational.
Kofi, let me just say this. Kofi. Going back to those 3 stars, he's basically saying that they were Black. We're not all African. We don't all come from Africa. That's BS.
Well, at the end of the day, there's tons of videos on YouTube where you can see the Black indigenous people being kicked off the reservations. this Walter Placker, all this stuff is very well documented. Whether you
Mr.
like it or
Bobo,
not.
Mr. Bobo,
Wait.
Mr. Bobo,
I'm coming. Wait.
Whether you like it or not.
Hey, guys, we gotta close out. I gotta cook dinner for my son. Everyone, everyone.
Part
Thanks
two,
so much
man.
for
We
joining.
gonna cook their ass, bro. Part 2.
Carla Genesis.
Everyone, thank you so much for joining. Like, share, subscribe. Until next time, family. Dynasty Mirror, search for Haroon. Peace.